So they open up Raw.
Disco, real quick. I just have one. I have one thing to bring up. I don't know if you want me to do it now or after the reviews. There was an exchange between Lance Storm and Jack Evans today that someone sent me. I thought was interesting.
Oh, let's see it.
You want to do it now, or
yeah, let's do it. Hot news.
So
we're always good for hot news, right, Konnan?
So Lance Storm, he saw a clip that you know the Mongo and Friends Twitter. They always post like crazy bumps and stuff. Yeah, okay. Right. So they posted a suplex.
Can you show us the picture of the tweets? Can you post the tweets for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do good visual here. God forbid you should produce the segment like that.
I know, right? Oh, I'm going to read.
It's so simplistic. It's like ESPN's talking about the highlights and they're not showing the package. Right.
What is it?
Bro, do you remember? Wait, no, my favorite one was. Do you remember at the beginning when he would announce his shows and not say who was on it, or even give a description of it? Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So this is NWO. White sent us discussion material for your shows.
Make this bigger, obviously. Can you do that?
Yeah. So here's.
Reaper now, my God!
Sorry about that. So here's the superplex spot. Taking that superplex to the floor is Jack Evans, of course.
Okay, of course, yeah.
So Lance Storm says, reminds me of my favorite wrestling statements. We used to pretend to beat each other up, would barely touch each other, and fans thought it was real, so we called them marks. Now we really beat the hell out of each other, and fans think that it's fake. Who are the marks now? I believe that's. I'm sure many people have said it, but I believe it was Dutch Mantel. First time I heard that. Yeah. Jack Evans responds, "Hey Lance, nothing about your favorite statement is true. While you yourself have the reputation of being the easiest to work with, your generation does not. In fact, except for the mid-2000s when strong style was all the rage, your generation is known for being the stiffest pricks around. How quickly we forget your generation had large numbers of people refusing to take power bombs because they were very sloppily getting dropped on the back of their heads. Your generation is when Bret Hart had his career ended by a super kick. Your generation is the one that told all the youngins to tighten up their forearms, causing them to get rocked on a nightly basis. Your generation hit us so hard in the head with chairs that they bent, and we weren't allowed to complain about it. It was the sloppiness, and this is coming from the botch master himself, from your generation, and the stiffness from the strong style folk that caused wrestling to go through a change that has made pro wrestling massively safer today than ever before. All my big bumps I have walked away from. How many careers were cut short because of the stiffness that came out of your generation? Hell, how many wrestlers were butchered from your generation because some petty prick in the locker room put out a hit on them? Except for in Mexico, hits don't even happen in wrestling anymore. So cut the crap with these tall tales of how things used to be. Us old heads who survived the shit your generation gave us are not going to stand by and let you shovel it on the youngins now."
Well, I don't know who Jack Evans is talking about, but he's talking about our generation. I don't know what he's talking about.
He must be
stuff is like he's a little over the the ACW guys were clobbering each other with hairs, you're making them, but like once we found out about CTE, everybody realized, okay, you don't do that. All right. Like I don't know what he's talking. I think our generation.
I do think this is what he's talking about. He does make some points there. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt when I brought this up before, bro, and this amazed me about the indies, Glenn, because I remember, bro, we were in the indies when we got out of WCW. We wrestled each other a grip of times. You know, how many times did you hear about the wrestler keeping the deposit, showing up, you know, getting on the mic, up, not wanting to do jobs, taking liberties on younger guys, giving bad matches. And all these guys, the Jack Evans, the Samoa Joes, the CM Punks, the Young Bucks, the Kevin Owens, all those guys, Ricochet, they all got in there, and I didn't realize it till I went there. And I was like, wow, this is different. Like, you couldn't be you couldn't be on drugs, you couldn't mistreat the fans. If you kept somebody's deposit, they kicked you out of the you know, they wouldn't let you in there. They actually fixed what we burnt down. You know what I'm saying? And so there's some of that in there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna agree with that. Yeah. However, I would agree with that argument, but I think this was not the action to generate that argument. Because what he's trying to say is like, okay, I can do this because you guys did that. Right. Neither of them are correct. Okay, right. So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can sit there and tell Jack Evans, Jack, do not do that. You're going to get hurt. There's a very high level, more of a chance of you getting hurt than from you doing it on the floor, obviously. So I'm saying, so like it's all these guys. It's like I think the question here was Lance was talking about risk assessment during matches, and Jack extrapolated that to like everything, all the wrong things that the wrestlers did back in our day. But
Right.
that does not discount that what he did was idiotic. You know, I think we could all agree with that. You know,
Here's Lance.
I don't think it's idiotic. He's just taking a bump to the outside. But
I
go
think
ahead.
it's
To
idiotic.
yeah.
Bro,
It
when
looked
I was
pretty-
young, I would have done it too.
We're
because
just going to agree to disagree here. There's
all right,
no reason
because
to argue.
but let me just say, because when you first break in, you're trying to make a name for you. I remember when I talked to Sabu, I asked him, I go, bro, why are you doing all these crazy things? Like when I first met him, because he was doing all, like, he was
Well, bro,
definitely
you're trying to argue this.
He was definitely trying to stick 10 pounds of in a 5-pound bag, and he just told me, well, my uncle told me I have to do something to be different because he wasn't a big guy, you know.
Okay,
So these,
let
so a lot of these guys, they
devil's
felt
advocate.
okay, and I'm just saying, let me finish. A lot of these guys felt they had to do crazy to get over. You didn't. They did. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this. You've worked from a culture of lucha libre, and you
Right.
did a lot of that. You didn't do. Did you ever do a suplex off the top rope to the floor? What's the
No,
What's the
no,
craziest
no.
bump you've ever done? Be honest. Craziest bump. Like in retrospect, like I should not have done that. That was stupid. But back in the day, we were obviously, we were all riskier back then.
They weren't
What was
as much as I really didn't take a lot of crazy bumps, but I did do a lot of crazy and hardcore matches that I
Okay.
shouldn't have done.
Well, here's my
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
You're arguing that you think this is okay. However, your professional wrestling career, you've had to have hip replacement surgery.
Right.
I've been relatively unscathed.
Right.
So my whole thing is like, okay, you think that's fine, but here you are, you've been beat up and like everything, but here I am.
know.
Like,
I'm just saying.
granted,
I
I'm
know.
gonna say
I
it's a
know.
difference
I'm
of
just saying. I
philosophy,
think it
you
was
know?
fine because I just felt I needed to give that to that crowd that night, and I was willing to do it. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, yeah, that is. I'm paying a price for it. I also had to get a kidney transplant from
Yeah.
a ladder that fell on top of me, but I chose to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm paying for it. That I'm not.
So
crying.
in retrospect, would you agree that those decisions were not good?
No. Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we can.
The thing about Jack,
Um,
I would say same thing for Sabu, is that Jack Evans, I knew who he was. Everyone that would go to shows in Philly and all the independent, I'm sure everyone knew who Jack Evans was. 'Cause he
Jack,
did-
let me, and before you finish, I just want to
Yeah.
say this because I'll forget. Jack is one of the most underrated bump takers and flyers I've ever
Oh,
seen
yeah.
in my life. But go ahead.
he was doing things back in 2002, 3, 4.
Nobody was doing.
Nobody was doing. But Jack never got his break in the States until now, really, which I always thought was a shame. But so do you want to hear Lance's responses and then we can
Yes.
wrap up? Okay,
Yes.
so Lance says that your statement is true and the statement was made about my generation. It's a statement about safety and the need for it, and I thought of it when I saw the clip. I made no comparison about any specific generations, yours or mine.
yeah, that's fine.
All I did was I did not originally see this long thread. I'm aware, Jack, the statement was made about my generation. I agree with it as it reflects on my generation. It is something all generations should consider, which is why I continue to bring it up. So, Lance, not really arguing.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's go on to continue with our that was our Jack Evans sidebar.
Jack
We're
Evans
going to continue with our Raw review. So the show opens up with all the